Alright, our opponent is advocating a change of the Electoral College or just abolishing it entirely. But the problem with just the whole changing the Electoral College is that it's actually extremely difficult. A quote from the California representative Xavier Barcero said that Congress should not be hasty about amending the Constitution, and noted that only a tiny number of amendments ultimately passed. There's been over 11,000 attempts to amend the Constitution since 1789, and 27 amendments have actually been passed. 10 of them were actually in one shot with Bill of Rights. That's actually not easy because Article 5 of the Constitution prescribes how an amendment can be part of the Constitution, but there's only 27. And then the only way for them to be ratified is 2/3 of the House and Senate approve the proposal and actually get sent to the states for votes, where then 3/4 of the states must affirm the proposed amendment. So just trying to change it in general is actually going to be extremely difficult. Now there's actually a movement to change it in 1979, where the Senate debated direct election alternative, but actually failed 51 to 48. It was shy of the 2/3 needed in the Senate. So Miguel, his first speech, he said that states the Electoral College actually favors smaller states, which isn't 100% accurate. It's because smaller states without the Electoral College wouldn't really mean anything. Their population densities are actually extremely, not extremely relevant, but they're really small and irrelevant compared to the 10 most populated states. The presidential candidates have to, with the Electoral College, the campaigning with presidents, they actually have to disperse it all throughout the United States. The presidential candidates have to take the Electoral College into consideration when mapping out campaign strategies. Received political wisdom has it that candidates actually cannot ignore the small states once the campaign begins in earnest after the primaries, because the Electoral College system guarantees them a prominent say in the results. Candidates therefore have to crisscross the nation, appealing sparsely to populated rural areas, and as well as voters in like big cities. So everyone actually would mean more. And then Mikhail, he actually said that my partner didn't say anything about minority interests. And in a study done in 2012 by the U.S. News, it said that Latinos in general, they just cluster in some of the most populous and therefore electorally desirable states: California, Pennsylvania, New York, Illinois, and Texas. 5 states with the largest Latino populations account between them for about 166 electoral votes, 61% of the total needed for victory. But this does not mean that they're the only group that's going to be addressed by the president, but it doesn't mean that their concerns, like everyone else's, has to be addressed by the president to be. And then it was also stated that the threat of faithless electors, and what's actually minimal. The U.S. Supreme Court has held the Constitution does not require the electors to be completely free to act as they choose, and therefore political parties may extract pledges from electors to vote from their party's nominees. So once they're already elected as electors, they can't really switch over because they can get fined and they can get replaced, depending what state they're from. And since the founding of the Electoral College, there's actually been 167 faithless electors. But 71 of these were actually faithless because their original candidate had died before the Electoral College had casted votes. 3 electors chose to abstain rather than vote for the for the party's nominees, and the other 3 electoral votes were changed on the personal initiative of the electors. So the disadvantage of actually removing the Electoral College is that the Electoral College waters down the ability of a geographically concentrated majority to impose its choice of chief executive on the rest of the country. The Constitution assumes majorities can tyrannize, which is what our opponents had said, but that the majority can be factions that their own interests above the nation's. It's that the Electoral College is actually one of the few instances where individual states hold power and the smaller state actually matters. With the Electoral College, nearly 37 million people live in California. but not all of them can vote because they're not the same age or they're not citizens. About 13 million of them actually voted for president, which is why there's 55 electoral votes. Wyoming had fewer than 570 residents, but only 249,000 of them were actually able to vote. But their state has 3 electoral votes. That means a ratio of 55 to 3. The former voters had more absolute power as a collective because of that bigger population. But no political consultant would advise a candidate to try to win in Wyoming and not California. So each vote in Wyoming was worth 2.87 California voters in terms of their individual share of respective states' electoral votes. It's just saying that because they have a smaller population, most people would think about not really trying to go there and campaign for the presidency, but with the Electoral College, it actually makes them have a voice. Because even though they're smaller, they actually count more than individuals does in California.